Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Miscellaneous Gab, and today we are discussing Dark Season 1, Episode 5, entitled Truths. Now, I just finished watching this like 5 seconds ago. I feel pretty psyched about what happened, but also horrified and sad, knowing that my one and only prediction has come true. So what happened? Let's get into it, whether you're watching along or you watched this several years ago. I can't wait to discuss Dark Episode 5. It's very aptly entitled Truths, and I think it's time we had some truths because in the last few episodes we have had so many questions. So in the last episode, characters kept hitting dead ends. We lost Yasin, who is the latest boy to have vanished. As a reminder, both Mikkel, Eric, and now Yasin have all gone missing in the span of about 1 month. The episode opens with parallel shots of Aegon, Charlotte, Hannah, and Ulrich and Ines, both in 1986 and 2019, which emphasizes the fact that we are now fully into storylines. And this is the first episode where we were really seeing a back and forth between both storylines 33 years apart. This montage also shows Marta, Jonas, and Bartosz caught in their love triangle. Bartosz is trying to call Marta, even calling Jonas to try to figure out what's going on with Marta. One theme I really see in this episode is how many characters just try to pursue their own selfish ends. So we know a lot of people in this show are kind of grieving and suffering, primarily Ulrich and his family, his children, his wife. And there's so many like agendas at play here of people forgetting like what these people are going through. Bartosz just wants to hear from Marta. He says he wants to support her as best he can, but it's really this feeling that people just use each other constantly. We get a shot of Jonas fixating on a red cord, which is tied suspiciously like a noose. There's a lot of this theme coming through, a motif of a red cord, a red rope, and even the idea of a thread. When I first started taking notes for this, I'm like, my theory has to be correct, that Mikkel is Jonas's father, that Mikkel goes to Mikhail. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm sure you guys will tell me if I'm not. And of course, I'll get into it by the end, but by the end of this episode, we find out it's true. After the credits, we open back in 2019, seeing 3 posters of 3 boys who have all gone missing, and people are pissed. Obviously, this is unusual even for a small town, so it almost seems like 3 is the magic number. At first, it was just kind of a nobody, a drug dealer's son. Now it's the police chief's son, and then now it's another boy, another member of the community. We open with Charlotte interrogating her daughter Elizabeth about this mysterious man named Noah. She says he's tall, like dad, and the camera pans to a very suspicious looking Peter. Remember, we know he's up to something, we just don't know what yet. He has his secrets. Charlotte knows that he's involved somehow or was somewhere on the night of Mikhail's disappearance. Charlotte and Peter seem to reconcile slightly, come together in the wake of Elizabeth's 5-minute disappearance. She's still very suspicious of him. She knows he's lying, and he hits her with the old "you're nuts." Nothing like some good old classic gaslighting to get the ball rolling. So then we get back to the Winden Hotel, where we go in and out of what this strange man is up to. His room is still covered wall to wall with clippings, notes, and images. We always see something different. Last episode, we saw the Emerald Tablet, the Hermetic principles. Hermeticism is rooted in ancient Egypt. Now we're kind of getting into Greek mythology. We see an image of a labyrinth and a lithograph of the Minotaur, and this, of course, recalls Ariadne's thread, which symbolizes the guiding line through the maze, a symbol of finding order within chaos. Now, the goddess Ariadne gave Theseus a ball of thread to help him navigate the labyrinth after his way out of defeating the Minotaur. In the context of Dark, this idea of the maze mirrors Winden itself, with layers of time, secrets, and dead ends that kind of trap its characters, either physically, mentally, or temporally. Ariadne's thread suggests the possibility of a path out, order through the chaos away, but whether that leads to an actual salvation or further entanglement is uncertain. And as we see later with Mikkel's conversation with Noah, is it even choice or is it predestined? Is it destiny? Before leaving, the stranger asks Regina to hold his room and deliver a box labeled Jonas Convald. I'm not even gonna try. I'm not even gonna try with the last names, okay? Gesture kind of deepens the intrigue here. Could Jonas be the one who can navigate through the labyrinth? Could he kind of be the hero of this story? We get a little bit more of Bartosz. Remember Mr. Steal Your Girl in this episode? He gets a call from Noah on Eric's phone. Remember, he has Eric's phone. He can't figure out the code, but like most phones, he can answer a call. He thinks that it's Eric Steeler and agrees to meet him. Meanwhile, I have to talk about something that really bothers me. Hannah goes to see Katerina and kind of does the whole good neighbor thing, brings a casserole because she wants to know how they're up to. And of course, she sneaks in this, how's Ulrich doing? This is such a shitty move. Like, you're a horrible person. You're a horrible, selfish person. It's bad enough to cheat, but then when two people should be coming together, like objectively in your tiny little brain, you should know that these people just lost their son. Maybe you don't care anything about anything other than Ulrich's penis, but these two people just lost their son. I think Katerina, she's onto something. She gives Hannah a big sniff. Remember, it was the sniff in the jacket that initially made her suspicious. So she has to do anything to get one-on-one time with Ulrich, and then he tells her to get out and to back off, and she said no. And it's like, lady, it is not the time. This man is not thinking about your love affair right now. He's trying to be there for his family. Maybe he's trying to finally do right for once in his life. He's trying to find his son. This woman is so damn selfish, but we kind of see a lot more of the threads that bring these two people together. We get a brief flashback from 1986, and we understand that this fighting for Ulrich has been a competition between Hannah and Katerina, even though maybe Katerina's not really aware of the competition for a very long time. We get this idea that Hannah's a little bit younger, that she's always had a giant crush on Ulrich and always seems like she's coming in second best. Imagine having a crush on someone for 33 years and not letting it go. It's giving Severus Snape. I think Hannah is becoming more and more unhinged. We see her history, we see her baggage, and I don't think she's going to take this very well. Back in 1986, so we actually see Noah. We now know that Noah is in two different timelines, probably the same age because he's not that young in 1986. I think he's straddling two timelines. He comes and talks to Mikkel. He's apparently a priest and asks Mikkel if he believes in God. Now, this is the most talkative we have seen Mikkel so far since he's been trapped. He says no, he believes in the Big Bang. His father told him religion was a tool to control the masses. And Noah talks about how there's a plan for every human, including Mikkel himself. And my question here is, does Noah and whoever he's working with, do they think they're working at the behest of God, on behalf of God, or do they think that they themselves are God, pulling the strings, making the decisions, influencing people's lives? We see more flashbacks about Ines, very concerned about what's going to happen with Mikkel, and then we eventually see Mikkel and Hannah meet each other. He talks her through a magic trick, and she seems kind of impressed by his riz. He says that things only change because we change them, and that this is Mikkel meeting his wife. Back in 2019, Ulrich confides in Charlotte kind of more than any of the other women in his life, his wife, his lover. He is very open with her. He admits that he became a policeman after his brother's disappearance, trying to do better. Now he just feels like a failure. When he talks about what happened 33 years ago, Charlotte finally talks about this 33-year cycle when there's this solar-lunar alignment. And she talks about how her grandfather was obsessed with this theory. Jonas, meanwhile, sits by his father's grave when this stranger approaches. Now, why the stranger just couldn't bring the box right to Jonas in the graveyard, I don't know. He talks about how Michael Convald, who's Jonas's father, once saved his life. He then starts to descend into kind of this cryptic talk about labyrinth, death, and one true path, which echoes kind of more of the talk that we usually get at the beginning of the show, like life is a maze, everything is connected, etc., etc. Jonas is obviously unsettled by the stranger's tone, but it's nothing he hasn't seen before. We then get a pretty interesting cut. There's always these like kind of cuts, I think, mimicking the parallel and cyclical nature of time in this show between 1986 and 2019. Katharina and Ulrich sneak away at school to have sexual intercourse, which is very creepily watched by Hannah. Them having sexual intercourse at school kind of mirrors what Magnus, Ulrich's son, did in the previous episode. Meanwhile, in 2019, Marta is rehearsing this at the school play play. Jonas watches from the audience. She delivers this very strange but kind of hauntingly beautiful monologue, cruelty, and how a red thread connects all the deeds, which is a theme mirrored by what's going on with all the characters. Her costume is also a white robe, which typically symbolizes purity, saintliness, tied with a red cord, which reinforces this image of kind of fate and connection threads. Now, because Jonas ditches Bartosz for Marta, we see Bartosz meets up with Noah, gets in the car, and then eventually gets out. I'm sure we'll figure out what happened at a later date, but we don't find that out in this episode. Hannah sinks to a new low. She tells the police about what she saw between Ulrich and Katerina and, shall we say, embellishes, leading to Ulrich's arrest. And man, oh man, Hannah has always been a shitty ass person. Jonas returns home to find the box that the stranger left him, and inside he sees this touch lamp shaped like a globe. I'm sure in 2019 you're like, big whoop, what is this? There's a Geiger counter as well, which is used, I had to look this up, which is used for detecting ionizing radiation, which seems important in a town with a nuclear plant where strange things are happening and squirrels are getting mutated. And then is Michael, his father's letter. Now this letter looks beat up. It looks like it's been around the block. Perhaps the stranger had to go and take it out of, I don't know, Inez's trash or break into her home. And we finally hear the contents of the letter read in Michael's voice. And we learn the truth, the big truth, the one I called. I'm not good at making predictions, but I'm happy to say that this prediction came true, which is that Mikkel is Michael. After vanishing, he built a new life as Michael, meaning Jonas's father is the same boy that disappeared, which is so trippy because when Jonas started growing up, maybe that's as it got closer to the date, like imagine seeing your kid who you knew as a child, who was friends with your brother. Like it's enough to make anyone's head hurt. This is a huge moment, but it's also heartbreaking because Mikkel is this sweet, creative boy with his whole life ahead of him. And we see that not only was he never reunited with his family, he's like a stranger in a strange land for the rest of his life, but obviously he never got over it. I mean, I don't know how you get over something, but this haunted him for his entire life. And given the fact that his wife is an absolute anus of a person, he probably spent his life just so alone and sad. And even though it seems like he loved his son, I don't think it was enough for him to get by. So I was right, and I'm sad to be right. I wanted Mikkel to go home, but I know that there's no happy endings in this story. The episode closes with the stranger. He enters a clockmaker's shop where he meets H.G. Tannhaus, the author of the fictional book A Journey Through Time. Now, could this be Charlotte's grandfather or someone who knew Charlotte's grandfather or the person who gave her the clock? So that's the episode. Wow. This show is just so freaking good. So good. The casting, the music, oh my God, the sound effects. Here are my questions that remain. Again, what's up with Peter? What will happen with Katerina and Ulrich and Hannah? Only bad things. I think only bad things. And I think we'll get a little more history on what actually happened to Ulrich after his arrest and what really went down between him and Katerina and everything Hannah did. If Mikkel is Jonas's dad, then Marta is his aunt. So we are in a real Game of Thrones situation right now. It's very Jon Snow up in here, and I'm uncomfortable. So yeah, again, who is the stranger? What's up with all his tools and his messages? Is he dangerous? What's going to happen? How is Noah in both time periods? I hope we get this answered sooner rather than later. I'm so eager, guys. I wanted to do a watch along, but the last time I did a watch along was with Severance. I got a copyright strike on that, unfortunately, and maybe I'll try again for the finale of Dark season 1. But for now, we're doing these reviews, and you'll have to go and watch my Severance watch along or even my Westworld watch alongs, which are Patreon exclusive, to see if you even like like that format. I don't know if I'm that interesting during my reactions. I'm just kind of like, anyway, thank you so much to all my Waffle Party VIP members. Thank you to Marlon Yamzon, Dolores Abernathy, Daniel Ariano, Bo Dierker, Matt Winbury, Chris Bazeski, and Jim Rodney. And thank you to all my other Patreon members who support me. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. Stay out of the forest and give me a score on my pronunciation this round. Talk to you next time, guys. Bye.